All right, let's dive into this roadmap to joyful living. It's all laid out here in the Gita for joyful living, and I gotta say, I'm already fascinated. It's not about changing the world this time. It's about changing ourselves, eliminating that suffering, reaching true, lasting happiness. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how this source puts it. It says everyone's on this path already.
Sure.
Even if they don't realize it, like we're all on this journey toward joyful living, whether we're consciously taking steps or not.
So even someone living, a purely animalistic life, just driven by those basic instincts, they're technically on the path too.
Yeah.
That's a pretty mind-blowing thought.
It is, it is. So the source outlines these 6 stages on this path, and the first 3, they kind of unfold naturally. As we follow our dharma, it's like our inherent nature, sort of guides us along, at least at the beginning.
So Dharma is like our internal compass then,
Yeah.
pointing us in the right direction.
Precisely. But to reach stage 4, karma yoga, we need to step up our game. It's not just about following our instincts anymore. It's about conscious effort, a deliberate shift in how we approach action.
And that's where the need for a spiritual master comes in, right?
Yeah.
Someone to guide us through this more challenging terrain.
Right. Think of it like this. You're trying to climb a mountain. At the base, you can kind of wander around, find your own path. But to get to the higher peaks, you need a guide, someone who knows the ropes, the best routes, someone who can help you navigate those tricky spots.
Makes sense. You need someone who's already been there to show you the way. Speaking of tricky spots, I was fascinated by that analogy of the tarnished brass article. It's like our likes and dislikes. Those attachments we form, they can cloud our intelligence, and it makes it tough to see things clearly.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? Imagine like this beautifully crafted brass piece, but over time it gets all tarnished. It loses its luster. Our minds are similar. The more we're driven by those likes and dislikes, the harder it is to see what's truly important, what leads to real happiness.
And that's where karma yoga comes in, right? Like it's the polish that restores our clarity, helps us see through the tarnish.
Exactly. By practicing karma yoga, we're not just going through the motions, we're working on ourselves, refining our understanding, detaching from the results of our actions. This polishing allows our inherent ability to discriminate, to resurface, between real and false, good and bad.
So instead of being driven by what we think will make us happy, we're focusing on the action itself, doing it with a clear mind and a sense of detachment. It's a real shift in perspective.
It is, it is. And it's interesting, as we begin to understand the limitations of material pursuits, the things we often chase after in hopes of finding happiness, something shifts internally. We naturally find more space for self-knowledge, for seeking those deeper truths.
This reminds me of something I've been grappling with lately. I'm constantly bombarded with messages
Mm-hmm.
about what I should be buying, what I should be achieving and experiencing to be happy. But the more I chase after those things, the more I realize they don't bring lasting fulfillment.
It's a common experience. Our culture often equates happiness with those external achievements and possessions. But the source here suggests true happiness, that joyful living. It comes from within, from understanding our true nature.
So stage 5 then, self-knowledge. That's where the real magic happens.
You could say that. It's where we shift from focusing on the external world to exploring our inner landscape. The source breaks this stage down into 3 steps: inquiry, introspection, and inner transformation.
And this is where having a competent teacher becomes even more crucial, right? It's like we need a guide who can illuminate the path, help us navigate the complexities of our own minds.
Absolutely. Just like you wouldn't attempt to climb Mount Everest without a Sherpa. You wouldn't embark on this journey of self-discovery without a guide, someone who's already navigated the terrain. It's about having someone who can provide support, clarity, and answer those inevitable questions
Wow.
that come up along the way.
Makes me wonder, what does that level of conviction, that certainty about one's true nature, what does that actually feel like? The source describes those who achieve joyful living as being as convinced about their real nature as an ignorant person is about their body and mind. That's a profound level of understanding.
It is, and it suggests that self-knowledge isn't just a collection of facts or ideas. It's a lived experience, a transformation that permeates every aspect of our being.
This deep dive is already making me think about my own life, my own pursuit of happiness, in a whole new way.
That's what's so fascinating about these ancient texts. They offer this timeless wisdom that's still incredibly relevant today. They challenge us to look within, to question our assumptions, and to embark on that journey of self-discovery that can lead to profound and lasting fulfillment.
Let's get to the nitty-gritty of that journey, shall we? Teaching 25 provides a fantastic summary of the path to joyful living, outlining 10 key points. Are you ready to unpack them?
Absolutely. Let's dive in and see what insights we can glean. All right, let's break down these 10 points. The first one. Human beings are constantly engaged in actions, right? It's kind of what we do.
Makes sense. We're always
Yeah.
doing something. But isn't that kind of the problem? Like
Mm.
all this doing,
Yeah.
it leads to more likes and dislikes, right? That's point number 2.
Exactly. And those likes and dislikes, those attachments, they start to cloud our judgment. We get so caught up in wanting things, avoiding things, and our intelligence gets, well, tarnished. Just like that Blass article. That's point number 3.
So point number 4 is basically saying that we start to see things backwards, like we mistake what's temporary for lasting happiness.
Precisely. We get caught in this illusion, chasing after those things that ultimately can't bring us true fulfillment.
But that's where karma yoga swoops in to save the day. Point number 5. It's like the antidote to this delusion.
Exactly. Karma yoga helps us see more clearly, to act without being driven by those likes and dislikes. We start to understand that true happiness. It isn't about getting what we want. It's about a deeper alignment with our true selves.
And once we start to see things more clearly, point number 6, we begin to question those material pursuits, the things we thought would make us happy.
We start to realize that lasting happiness can't be found in those external things. It has to come from within.
Which leads us to point number 7, that deep yearning to know the source of true happiness, the kind that doesn't fade or depend on those external circumstances.
That desire, that longing, it's what sets us on the path to self-knowledge. Point number 8. It's like a seed that's been planted, and now it's starting to sprout.
And then through those 3 steps you mentioned earlier, inquiry, introspection, and inner transformation, point number 9, that's when the real growth happens, right?
Yes, through consistent effort
Yeah.
and the guidance of a competent teacher. We start to unravel those layers of conditioning, the beliefs and assumptions that have kept us from seeing our true nature.
And finally, point number 10, we reach the destination. Joyful living, not just a fleeting sense of happiness, but a deep and abiding sense of peace and fulfillment.
It's not just about feeling good. It's about a fundamental shift in our understanding of who we are, a profound sense of inner peace that can't be shaken by those external circumstances.
Wow, okay. That's a pretty incredible journey. It's making me think about verses 51 to 53 from chapter 2. They talk about how renouncing the fruits of our actions leads to liberation from suffering. It's like if we can let go of the need to control everything, to get what we want all the time, then we can experience true freedom.
Yes. Verse 51 beautifully describes how those who are wise detach themselves from the results of their actions and ultimately liberate themselves from the cycle of birth and death. They've reached that state of bliss, where they're no longer bound by the ups and downs of life.
It's like they've found that inner peace, that stillness, that allows them to weather any storm.
Exactly. And verse 52 talks about clarity. It's like once our intelligence has moved beyond that dense forest of delusion, as the verse puts it, we become indifferent to anything.
Right.
That doesn't serve our journey towards self-knowledge.
It's like we've developed a filter, a way of discerning what's truly important from what's just noise.
Precisely. And verse 53 emphasizes the importance of anchoring our minds in self-knowledge. Moving beyond the distractions of the material world. It's about finding that unwavering focus, that state of true yoga.
It's like tuning out all the chatter, all the external demands, and focusing on what truly matters, our own inner